Here's somebody who responded to my comments about Buttigieg, or actually I think I retweeted somebody else's tweet. This is what this individual said. Quote, "Word salad, question mark, question mark. It's called being smart and informed. Trump can't even spell, for crying out loud. Do you know who was notoriously against intellectuals? Yeah, the Nazis. Why are you so threatened by intelligence? Someone is not elite because they read." All right, now, as I mentioned in my book, Loserthink talks about all the bad ways of thinking. He's got word thinking, bad comparison, analogy thinking, mind reading, and a straw man, all in one tweet. You've probably seen by now the clip of Buttigieg, maybe you saw it live, when he gave this long nonsense word salad, sounded like a corporate consultant answer to a question during the debate. And I thought to myself, I've never seen somebody create a kill shot for themselves that was so effective. If he became the candidate and ran against Trump, all Trump would have to do is run that clip and show a picture of an empty suit. So here's somebody who responded to my comments about Buttigieg, or actually I think I retweeted somebody else's tweet. I think it was Kathy's tweet. And so this is what this individual said. Now remember I've told you that you can identify people who are artists without looking at their profile on Twitter? You can identify them by the way they address topics. All right, so I'm going to give you this example. So on the tweet where people were making fun of that Buttigieg statements during the debate where it was all word salad, this is what this presumably a supporter, or at least a Democrat, says. Quote, "Word salad, question mark, question mark. It's called being smart and informed. Trump can't even spell, for crying out loud. Do you know who was notoriously against intellectuals? Yeah, the Nazis. Why are you so threatened by intelligence? Someone is not elite because they read." All right, now, as I mentioned in my book, Loserthink talks about all the bad ways of thinking. They're almost all in this one tweet. Let me call them out. So he's saying it's not word salad. It's called being smart and informed. What is that? That's what I call word thinking. He didn't give a reason. He just relabeled it. That's it. He just relabeled it. Relabeling things is not thinking. You just put different words on the same thing. We're looking at exactly the same thing. There's no question about the facts. Just labeling it a different label didn't get you anything. So, word thinking. Then he says Trump can't even spell. What's that got to do with Buttigieg? What does spelling have to do with what Buttigieg just did? It's a ridiculous comparison. So that's the next thing that artists do. They don't know how to compare things effectively. And it's not a good comparison because spelling things wrong is so common that everyone here says to themselves, yeah, I spelled a tweet wrong once. I went to college and I spelled a tweet wrong. How many times have I spelled a tweet wrong or spelled something wrong in a blog post or mispronounced something? Fairly often. I've got a college degree. I've got a master's degree. I do this for a living. I'm a professional writer. I still spell stuff wrong all the time. It means nothing. But so it was a weird comparison. Then he does the Hitler thing. He goes, do you know who was notoriously against intellectuals? Yeah, the Nazis. So that's what I call analogy thinking, where you imagine that because something reminds you of something, that there's something that you're learning because of that. You're not learning anything. You just got reminded of something. That's it. That's the entire end of the story. I was reminded of something. You don't take that and then say, therefore, I predict Trump will become Hitler. So that's the analogy thinking. And then he says, why are you so threatened by intelligence? Who was threatened by it? Was there somebody in this story who was threatened by intelligence? That's just mind reading. He's mind reading and getting the wrong answer. So he's got word thinking, bad comparisons, analogy thinking, and mind reading. And then he ends with, someone is not elite because they read, and I'm not even sure oddly enough, he had a typo. He spelled a word wrong. In his tweet in which he was mocking the president for a spelling error, he has a typo. In this case, it's a typo, not a spelling error. But I'm thinking, well, don't throw stones. But anyway, he says, someone is not elite because they read, and I'm thinking, who is arguing anything like that? Who does he imagine he is countering? He basically creates a straw man argument and then argues against it. So he's got word thinking, bad comparison, analogy thinking, mind reading, and a straw man all in one tweet. And when I saw that, I said to myself, artist? Click on profile. Professional writer for television. Was I surprised? No, I was not. Now, since the moment I pointed this out, and many of you have seen me point this out for a while, that you can identify an artist by their comments because they don't know how to, let's say, understand the world in rational ways. It's really obvious. All of the worst comments on Twitter are kind of from people who are professional artists or want to be. It's not a coincidence.